Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another discussion video. This time we're talking about 20 cards you should pick up from set 8. These are just going to be staple cards that you're going to want to have. They're very generic for the most part. Also, not too expensive. No card on this list is an SR. These are just some of the staples that I think you'll need to pick up, and I'm going to tell you why I think you need to pick them up. But before we get into the video, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. Want to get involved in Dragon Ball Super community, make sure to check out the Discord in the description below. Finally, guys, 3 ways you can help the channel out. Number 1, the Patreon in the description below, lots of competitive content for you. Number 2, if you want to buy any of the cards you see listed here, make sure to use my link to TCG Player or Bearded Collectibles in the description below. And finally, guys, there is the join button down below for the YouTube channel memberships. All that stuff helps a lot. Hope you guys had a great pre-release weekend, man. Dang, my friend Larry, if you guys remember from any length of time on the channel, he's had a few profiles up on here. My friend Larry pulled the Vegeta SCR and the SPR SS4 Goku. That's like, what, like $200, $300 of value? Like, it's so crazy. But we had a great time with the release weekend, and I'm finally starting to get all these new cards, which is so sick. I can't wait this weekend to open my actual product. So we'll talk about this video. 20 cards you should get from set 8. Number 1, the Bulma leader. So besides the fact that she is Bulma, you know, she's already awesome, but besides that, she's the first leader for kind. So real quick read: permanent all red and yellow sand and earthling cards in your battle area gain blocker. Now I picked Bulma because she is, in my opinion, one of the most generic leaders, and I say that with a grain of salt. Like, that effect, you know, all red yellow sand and earthlings gain blocker, that's not the most it's not the most specific effect. Like, you don't need that to function with the deck. It's just kind of a nice added bonus. The really cool part about the effect, though, is the activate main on the unawakened side, once per turn draw a card, and the activate main on the back side, once per turn draw 2 cards. And of course, when she awakens, she untaps 2 energy. This activate main on the backside, draw 2, is really one of the first of its kind. Like, it almost makes Bulma like an unawakened Shenron leader, in a sense that you're just drawing 2 cards every turn. And while she might be weak on the backside, that draw 2 is so powerful. Like, I haven't necessarily cracked it myself yet, and I don't know if like the archetype she comes with is the best way to go about playing Bulma. I just feel like there's something to this leader that has to be insane. Like, the draw 2, I mean, I'm sure some of you guys out there already have awesome builds for the deck, and maybe you guys have cracked the code, but in my opinion, she's nuts. I think that there is a lot to explore with her, so I would definitely say pick up your Bulma leaders. Again, common level card, really easy to come by. Next up, first thing on the list, we have our counterplay cards for the format. So we have Super Kamehameha, we have Absolute Release Ball, we have Focus Breakthrough, we have Beerus Ball, and we have Super Gallic Gun. So real quick, the black, the blue, and the green ones are very similar in the sense that they negate the play of 3 drops or less. Super Kamehameha will warp it, Absolute Release Ball will bounce it back to the opponent's hand, and Focus Breakthrough will KO it and put it in the drop area, all instead of being played so they don't get any enter play effects. Beerus Ball will negate the play of a 15k or less. And then you have Super Gallic Gun, which is the only one that does not negate the play of a card. It just puts it into rest mode. So in my personal opinion, Gallic Gun is the weakest, but they all have an added benefit of being able to be played for free. I should mention, they all require you to be at 4 life or less. So keep that in mind. You do have to be at 4 life or less to activate these cards. You can always pay 1 energy for them as long as you're at that 4 life or less. But if you have a multicolor card in your energy, or in the case of Super Kamehameha, if you have all black cards in your energy, you can activate them by paying a life, again, if you're at 4 life or less. So they do have the added requirement of being at a low life total. So if you're gonna ever use this for free, you will have to go to, like, you know, 3 or 2 or 1 life, depending on what life total you're at, but it will have to be at 4 or less life. So they do have the added benefit of being played for free. Again, I think Super Gallic Gun is the weakest of the bunch because it's basically just Crusher Ball in every single way. The only added benefit is that you have to be or if you have a dual color energy, you can use it for free. The added problem, though, or the added caveat to it, is that you have to be at 4 or less life. So there's actually an argument there that Crusher Ball is almost just like straight up better than Gallic Gun. So that's kind of a debate to be had. But in my opinion, Super Kamehameha, Absolute Release Ball, Focus Breakthrough, and Beerus Ball, you should definitely pick up. I mean, it's just a staple for whatever color you're playing. I think you should definitely consider getting them. Next up, we have all of the Cunning cards. So we have Krillin the Cunning, Yamcha the Cunning, Pilaf the Cunning, Trunks the Cunning, and there's also the Shadow Clones from the the Hachiyak deck. So these guys, I'll give them a quick read. They all pretty much do the same exact thing. So auto, when you play this card, draw 1. Then for the duration of the game, if the turn player would use a skill of a battle card or extra card to switch energy to active mode, they cannot switch energy to active mode unless they choose 5 cards from the drop area and send them to the warp. So every single one of these does the same exact thing. Definitely want to pick these up. Now, the thing about these cards is they're kind of weird. This is actually like the perfect silver bullet to a deck like Super Shenron that just abused untapping and things like that with Explorer Volma. But we got it like, you know, 2 sets too late, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is a card that's there. I personally wish these things didn't exist because I think the added floodgate effect, like this will stack every single time one is played, so you have to remember each and every time one is played. I think that's pretty annoying, but again, a common level card that I think everyone should have a playset of. If nothing else, just, you know, have someone at your locals hand them to you that has an excess amount of bulk. It's not that hard to get these cards, and they're very stapley. They might not be great tomorrow, they might not be great next week, but at some point they will be great cards. Next up, we have the first rare we're talking about, Chi-Chi Motherly Majesty. So she says auto, if you have 2 or more red-green multicolor cards in your energy, when you combo with this card, draw 1. So, you know, this set is mostly focused on red, yellow, and blue, green, but red, green, and blue, yellow, the previous color combinations from the previous sets, got some insane support. Chi-Chi is one of those cards. Like, all you have to do is have 2 red, green energy, and she's a super combo for 5k, not for 10k, but she basically makes your arrival costs really manageable because, and this is one of the things I don't necessarily know if I agree with, but they're making arrival much easier by adding cards like this that actually draw when they're comboed, so you don't necessarily neg when you use those cards. So Chi-Chi, in my opinion, a rare you're gonna want, especially if you're playing red green, like if you're playing Clash Crew from last set, if you're playing red green Yamcha from last set, anything like that, you're gonna want a playset of this card. This card is just so good in those decks. It's just free cycle, and it makes your arrivals way better. Next up, we have Android 17, Protector of Wildlife, and Whis the Spectator. These are our energy cards that ignore energy exhaust. And again, I will strongly recommend that you pick them up as the stamp versions because they will probably only be about $10 per copy each. But besides that, just get your hands on these cards no matter what, because if you ever decide to play blue-green, if you ever decide to play red-yellow, or if you want to play the other color combinations, make sure to pick up these cards that ignore energy exhaust. They're just so valuable. Besides that, the autos aren't too bad either. The Whis, when it comes into play, you choose a battle card, you negate its keyword skill for duration of the turn. That can be relevant against random like blockers or, you know, random things like that. And then the Android 17 actually has a pretty cool effect as well. Auto once per turn when your opponent combos, and this is going to be mandatory on the first time they combo, I do believe. Choose up to one of those cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck, then negate the skill for the duration of the game. So you basically automatically ping a card at your opponent's hand as long as this guy remains on the board. But for the most part, energy, great cards, definitely staples you're going to want to have. Masterful Technique Whis, another card I think you should pick up. Again, I believe it's actually an uncommon. So a card at the uncommon level, still relatively easy to get. It's a 2-drop 15k, so pretty good stats there. Auto, when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. So as soon as it comes in, it gets some value right there. But over the course of the game, it's going to get more and more value. So auto once per turn. If you have a blue-green multicolor card in your energy, when you play a green battle card other than this card from your drop area, draw 1. So if you guys know about Frieza Healing Pod from, I think it's from Clash of Fates. If you remember that card, this is essentially the same thing, but it requires you to have a blue-green multicolor energy. You can actually do some pretty nutty things with this type of deck. So let's say the curve of your blue-green deck is this, right? Turn 1, charge a blue-green because this thing requires you to have a blue-green. Then turn 2, you play this down, you pop a 2-drop or a 1-drop, whatever the case may be. Turn 3, you use 1 energy to play the Healing Pod. Then you use another energy to play your Whis Regulator, which is a blue 1-drop that says discard a card, draw a card. And then you discard the Beerus Godly Majesty, which we'll talk about in a second. That triggers bringing itself back from the drop area. You get a draw off Whis, and you get a draw off Healing Pod. That's just a really nutty turn 3 play. That's tons and tons of value, and it's really strong. So I'd highly recommend picking that card up. Next up, we'll get right into it. We'll talk about the free play 15Ks. I don't really know what to call them because for some reason 2 of them are called Majesty and 2 of them are not. So I guess we'll just call them the 3-drop 15K free play cards. So you got Son Goku the Rescuer, you've got Trunks Saiyan Majesty, you got Beerus Godly Majesty, and you've got SS3 Goku One-Hit Wonder. So all these things have the ability to play themselves for free when a certain condition is met. Goku the Rescuer when you bounce an opponent's battle card, Beerus when it's discarded from the hand, Goku when you minus 5,000 something, and Trunks when you actually doesn't play itself for free, but it actually draws a card when you switch something to rest mode. So they're all pretty good there. And then you have the activate effects in the drop area. You pay an energy of their color, and they all do an added thing. So these cards are all at the rare level. Really recommend you pick these up because they are relatively staples in their respective colors. They all really just they give blue, green, red, and yellow, just like they give them life to their themes, because when you do what they're meant to do, you get added benefits from it. So they're really, really good cards at the red level to definitely make sure you pick up. Final card, guys, or one of the final cards, Baby Vegeta, Unfair Choice. This card is one of the most powerful cards in yellow to come out of this entire set. Activate main, choose one card in your hand, place it in the drop area, choose one effect. You can choose one of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, switch it to rest mode, or you can choose a battle card in rest mode ignoring barrier and KO it. So any active mode battle card that has barrier, 2 cards kills it. Any rest mode barrier, 1 card kills it. This card, you definitely need it. Final card in the list, guys, Shu on the offensive. Don't pick up any other super combos from this set except Shu. Shu is by far the most broken one in the entire set because, guys, obviously it's Shu. He's holding a sword backwards. He's charging at you. This card is way too broken. Make sure you pick these up at the common level. I can't believe this card's a common. But anyway, guys, that was 20 cards you should get from set 8. Make sure to get these guys if you are, strapped for a budget, or if you just have people that are lending out bulk. These are the cards I think you want to pick up, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.